Welcome back to the Summer Psalm Devotions. I hope you're having a really great summer. We are following the parents around like a shadow following behind them as they've been looking at the Psalms. And we've been looking at them too and how they're all about Jesus. If you remember, Psalm 45 was the wedding with Jesus as the amazing king. Psalm 16, we thought about trusting in God because of Jesus' resurrection. Psalm 22, last week, we had a great time looking at Jesus' horrible suffering on the cross, but seeing that we can be part of the big party, the celebration, because he has done it. Jesus has risen from the dead, and we are saved too. So now we're in Psalm 40, and this is all about David and how he responds to God's salvation. He lives the life of faith because God has saved him. So, before I tell you about how David's life has been changed by God's salvation, I want to tell you about someone else whose life has changed. I wonder if you know who this is. Do you know who it is when I say the name Kate Middleton? Kate Middleton. Her life was changed in 2011 when she married Prince William. Her life totally changed. Her name changed, where she lived changed, the clothes she had to wear changed. She probably had to talk a bit posher too. The way she talked changed. Everything changed for her. She was no longer Kate Middleton. She was now the Duchess of Cambridge. She's now part of the royal family. Everything changed for her. Her clothes, her shoes, the way she talked, the way she lived, where she lived, everything changed when she married Prince William. She's going to be our queen someday. Isn't that exciting? Her life changed when she married Prince William. Now, David, in this psalm, his life has changed, and not because of marrying anybody, but because God has saved him. The first 3 verses show God saving him from the pit. But now David's life is totally different. You see, he now trusts God, now and forever. He wants to serve God and live God's way. He tells everyone about God and what God's done for David. And he continues to ask God for help when he faces his sin and enemies. He continues to ask for God's help. His life is totally different because God has saved him. And actually, the same is for us too when we think about Jesus. You see, Jesus has saved us. Jesus has saved us, and this means that we are to live totally differently from before the way we lived, before we were saved by Jesus. We should, like David, trust Jesus. Like David, we should want to serve Jesus, to live for him, to serve him as part of a church. Like David, we should want to tell everyone about the salvation that we have had in Jesus. And like David, we should be continually asking God to help us in all the different trials we face, all the different times when it's hard. Like now, with the virus going on still around the world, we can still trust God because he has saved us. Our lives are totally different. We trust God, we serve God, we tell everyone about God, and we continue to ask for God's help. That is the life of faith that David lived and that we should live as well, because we have been saved by Jesus' death and resurrection. So our lives should look totally different. So my final question to you, as we finish these Psalms for the summer, is to ask, how is your life different because of what Jesus has done for you?